Welcome to another video demo from MicroRooster. Today's topic is Analytics Visual Insight. Basically, MicroStrategy started with pushing more lighter versions or lighter tools out to the users. So what they started with was Visual Insight, and later on they changed it over to Analytics. Visual Insight started as sort of a standalone tool that goes along with MicroStrategy. I think it was an add-on, and then it became part of their offering. And later on, they changed it to Analytics, and it became part of their tool again, part of their enterprise tool. And they allow you to, or they provided a free version out there to download and install and play with called Analytics. So it went through several cycles of branding and integration, but as of 9.4, there's an analytics component within the enterprise version of MicroStrategy. There is an analytics component on its own that you can download, go to their website and look up analytics. Everything before 9.4, it was referred to as Visual Insight. Terminology has not changed much, the usage hasn't changed much, some of the functionality changed, some is gone, some is added. But the idea is that with Visual Insights being part of this tool, they are using more standard terminology like create dashboard rather than create analysis. With the Visual Insight component, the standalone, you'll see things like create analysis, for instance, versus create dashboard, which is pretty much the same thing. You're going to get the same result at the end of the day. So with that in mind, we're going to use 9.41. Again, if you're using 9.3 or before that, it's pretty much the same procedure with minor changes that you can probably figure out on your own. So I'm going to go to my cloud environment here. Alright, before we start, I want to create a basically I want to create a data set in the desktop. So let me show you what I've created. Very simple one using the MicroStrategy tutorial. Region, category, subcategory. I have a year and a quarter, a revenue, and a revenue forecast. I didn't add any filters because this tutorial doesn't have a lot of data, so I'm fine with that. Okay, close that. I ran that report and I exported. Let me show you, see if I still have it open. Okay, and I exported the data into Excel. See if I have it open. Called it MicroStrategy Desktop. There it is. Category, quarter, region, subcategory, year, revenue, and revenue forecast. So I exported it. The reason I did this is because I want to show you how Visual Insight or Analytics lets you use a report that's already in your environment as the basis of your analysis or external data. So we're going to pretend like this also is external data. So, and I want it to be consistent by creating it based on the same data set. Okay, so when you're in MicroStrategy 9.4 especially, there are tons of places. It's almost hard to avoid. There's the create it here. If you say create quick analysis or dashboard, you can click on this create and create dashboard or document. If you don't have a report already, you can create a report. You can import the data. You can import the data, then create the analysis, or you can click here. There's a lot of places. It's all over the place. So we're going to do two things. One, we're going to create one based on that external data, and then one using that report. I'm just going to show you how to use the external data. We'll walk you through till we get to a report, then I'll switch over to an existing report. So import data. So I'm going to use a file. Okay. Remember that file that I exported? I'm going to use that to import. So I'm just using this for demo purposes. Usually don't export data. Make sure everything is correct. This is automatically done by MicroStrategy, but if it says, for example, a year where it should have been a metric, not an attribute, you can switch it over here. You can rename, okay, and you can change the data type. Like if this one you could change it to a certain data type if it was like latitude, longitude, not just a number, etc. Let's see here. This is treated as a number, but if you wanted to treat it as a date or time, etc., you can switch it around. Okay. Again, some attributes are specific, like geography, latitude, longitude, city, state, etc. So you might want to specify them. Why would this be important? Because if you're using maps, it's going to be looking for these tags in the names to do automated mapping. Again, you don't have to do it if you don't want to now as well. Okay. Now we've got this part done. Let's continue. It's asking where do you want to save your analysis. It's creating sort of a cube for you. Okay. So let's keep it in My Reports. I'll call it My Sales Data. Okay. Just give it a. Okay, so next step, see, it jumps right into here, creating. Do you want to create a report or a dashboard or a document off of it? Again, if you're using Visual Insight, it'll be a little bit different, but it's the same concept. Now I want to stop here. Typically, I could jump here, but I want to show you how I could have done it right off the report itself. So I'm going to go back to my project, click home, and skip this step. I'm going to go to Shared Reports. There's the same report that I used. I'm going to right click on it, create dashboard. Pretty much now I'm at the same stage where I was when I was importing the data. So two ways to get this. You either use the external data or use an existing report. The next step, once you get into the report or the dashboard, is you get this visualization space. Okay, you can select a visualization or you can create a grid first. I would recommend you creating a grid first. So let's create a grid. Let's do something like regional revenue. Oops. Regional revenue, okay? You could also use the plus sign to add items, okay? So we'll show you how to do that rather than drag and drop. It's up to you. Again, region, revenue, little grid, looks cool. Let's add more complexity to it to make more sense. Let's add category, quarter. Alright, so there's more information, but there's a lot of data and you have to scroll down. It's a lot all over the place. Maybe I can break it down by adding a year page by. You can just highlight here, there's add it to page by. Okay, boom, I have multiple years in my data set, so now I have smaller views of my data, which makes analysis a little bit easier, but this might be a lot of information. I can also create I can also create drive metrics. For instance, let's say I want to create some comparison between revenue and revenue forecast. You could either, one at a time, you could create actually different new metrics based on these. For example, the average revenue, maximum revenue. You can create a calculation based on your existing metrics. Use a simple calculation here. You can create percentage. This allows you to give you percentage of revenue towards your category, quarter, region, subtotal, year, or over everything. You can create a new metric, ranking, ascending, descending, and you can break it by different levels. So for category, it'll rank each category 1, 2, 3, etc. within the category and repeat for other categories. You can add filters. So say, I only want the revenue where, for Q3, so that metric that you're creating becomes a special metric for a special time period, okay? But what I was show you here is also you can highlight two at a time, so you click them. I'm clicking both while holding the control button down. There's other ways probably to do that, but that's how I do them. And then, while both are highlighted, I can create a simple calculation. If you notice, it'll add them, average them, great, least. It'll divide them by each other. It'll subtract them for each other. It'll subtract and divide if you need to see a relative percentage. let's just do the difference. Alright, so there it is. I can rename it if I don't like the default name it gives me, but just for now I'm just going to drag it and put it right underneath these. And there it is. So now I have that third metric here. There's some things you could do, like you can exclude or remove some data or keep only some data. You could also go to the metrics, you can sort. So you can add more items to the grid while you're here. It's all these different things. You can also come up here and you could export what you have. You could hide, rename, duplicate, move to a different panel if you're creating multi-panels. There's a few properties you can look into, but not too many. So this is basically your simple grid, okay? Well, obviously this is not a dashboard yet, right? So what do we need to do? Well, we need to add more information. Let's add a visualization. So if you go here, right here, add a visualization. You could do it this way, or you could add a new grid and then convert it to a visualization. So if you noticed here, there was an option to change visualization. So you could create a grid and then change it into, or you can start with a grid. So let's insert a graph. All right, so here's my graph. Let me pick a specific graph. So I'm going to change the visualization. Notice there's bars, there's lines, areas, networks. Sorry, clicked on the network. But you get the point. There's all these different options. And I can remove one that I don't like here. Let me add a visualization. Let's just add a simple visualization. Let's add something like, let's start with bars, why not? Let's keep the default one, vertical bar stacked, okay? Alright, so notice here, here's the information that I need to build this. My vertical axis for my bar, let's use revenue. Okay. My horizontal axis for my bar, interesting, it used dots, so we'll change that in a minute. My horizontal axis, let's compare regions. Okay, so here are my regions, and again, my page buy is still active, so I can switch between different years. Let me see what else we can do to improve the visualization. Notice I did click bars, it's giving me lines. Let's see what else we can do. Okay. So for some reason it didn't like the bars, and I'll tell you my suspicions in a minute. Change visualization. Alright. So apparently it was going with the default with the line. But when I switched back and forth, it went back to my. So here again, it's interactive. You see these different information that you have, and notice here you can again include, exclude some of this data. So if you like something that you just want to remove or show on your dashboards, you can highlight it and show it, or remove it if you want to remove it. So notice now I have two. I think I can just, let's say I want to reorder things because my grid, so I can grab this and pull it right underneath it. So this makes more sense because now I see more information. Let's add one more visualization. Let's add a heat map. Again, you can probably add a graph first and then convert it to a heat map, but let's go for the heat map. Let's put it at a better location. Let's put it right here. Okay. And the grouping, what do you want to group things by? Let's go by category. I want the size of the category, the box, to be by revenue. Oops. Revenue. Okay, this is not the best kind of usage for it, but I can color it, say, by forecast. Again, this is a bad example from a business perspective because these are pretty much alike. You might want it. Row count doesn't make sense, but you could probably create some other metric, you know, that you would. Let's do this. Let me highlight these two. I'll create a new metric called the relative or the ratio. And I'm going to use that instead. Just in case this made more sense to you, okay? It might not, but this is what, and you can kind of shift things around here to make them better fit. Again, it's interactive. You got all these different options. Again, you got that keep only, exclude, etc. show data. You can export. You can change the visualization, copy different panel. Let me show you the different panel. So let's say I want to move this or copy it to a new panel. There we go. So now I got two panels in my dashboard. One panel and one has just the heat map. You could also add a layout right here if you have multiple layouts. Okay, so there's all these different things that you can do on the fly. You can add text fields, static text fields, like this is my cool new dashboard, and you could actually move it around. This is inside the panel. Put it in the middle. Okay. So I want to put it right. Oh, they don't let me put it on top. So let me switch panels and see what happens. Okay, so only added it as part of the panel. Wonder if I could just push it out right here. Did not like that. Alright, so it's adding it inside my panel, which is, you know, kind of restrictive, but you get the point. You can add panels here. You can change the theme to dark, which was your standard Visual Insight. This might look familiar to a lot of people. This is the standard, the original Visual Insight look. See what else you can show. You can show filters. Just say you want to filter all your data by a certain year, so you can drag year here. And I'm just going to limit it to 1 year, 2010. And once I'm done, you know, I could either present it, so I can go to presentation view right here. Obviously, because I filtered by 1 year, my page by now is irrelevant, but you get the point. If I increase the years, then it becomes relevant. Okay, here's my two panels that I created. I can hide the filters by either clicking here or there. I can hide the page by as well. I can swap some items like rows and columns. I can exit. Alright, so once you're done with this and you're like loving it and you're thinking, okay, great, I like this dashboard that I created. I want to send it to my, you know, designer to, you know, merge it into my project, etc., and shared project. You can save it. Okay, it'll save it here. I saved it in my reports, but you can also convert it into a document, which means this becomes a standard enterprise document. Let me show you with this. Once you're done, it says you cannot go back. Okay, so you got to be careful. You only do. Generally, you might want to save an extra copy first. Okay, so here we go. Cancel my security thing. All right, so now it's starting to look more like a typical dashboard. You know, with all your items, etc. And let's go to editable mode. Ooh, I need to change that. Here it is. It's in editing mode, and then, you know, if you're using Flash, you can, etc. look at it from a flash perspective, which kind of looks like what you expected. It's not exactly the same, it's a little bit different, but you know, you get your, this is when you get your developer kind of to incorporate it into the system. But you were doing the first part, you finished it, it's great. So let me go back to home and show you something. So in your reports right here, you will see two things. You will see your dashboard you created in Visual Insight, which you could reference. You can modify it again, and then you can have your developer do this step for you, converting it to a document. I recommend leaving that for the developer. You can modify things, but there's also one cool thing here. In your reports, when you imported, there's only if you imported, like we did in the first part. If you imported, you can actually re-import, modify your import, and play with your data. Okay, oh, that didn't like that. I'll show you what I meant. Didn't mean to click on it. I meant to. Here we go. I just right-clicked on it now. You can republish it. You can edit it. You can delete it, or you can recreate a new document off of it, etc. You know, just look at the edit, for example. It's saying, oh yeah, do you still want to use that spreadsheet, for example, or you want to use a different one? Okay, you can browse and select a different one, etc. So you can, if you did switch it to something else with different data, your demo will all of a sudden display the new data. If you removed some items, you would lose them off the demo that you're utilizing for. So it's sort of like a tool for analysis, but not for a permanent place for your dashboard. So once you create this, like I said, you want to hand it over to your developer and send it. But you can also share it with other developers or users in your team before you finalize it and you convert it to a document. See, there's always multiple places to do everything. Okay. So with that, I'd like to conclude our discussion. Again, we didn't cover everything. Let me just show you one more thing that I skipped over. If your data set had longitude and latitude data, obviously you can create a map with it. Very straightforward. Do not have that data available here, but you should be able to figure out what's longitude from latitude and drop them into the different categories where they belong. Network, again, you could change visualizations if you don't like them. Just highlight, go here, clear or change, and you can start choosing from different ones. Here, just a typical grid with colors. Okay, and let's see, show you properties, probably skip that. You can lock different things, sizes, etc., fitting, banding, you can show banding, etc. Change visualization again. You can do pi. Okay, and then you can, switch over to different pies, with automatic legends. So everything is automated for you. There's all these different options that pop up for properties, for instance, for a pi that you can play with, axis scaling, shapes, you want a ring, etc., banding, maximum size, etc. So there's a few options for you to play with. Let me just touch upon a couple of things that you could use or your users could use when utilizing your Visual Insight dashboard. There's the ability to create on the fly, I want to say, thresholds. Notice here next to the metrics there's this drop down. Click on it, there's a few options besides the calculation, creating new derived metrics. You can sort, you can ascend, descend, or default, or advance. You can format your numbers. There's a lot of formatting. And you can add filters, so this way you're adding a filter just to your metric, so you make it a specialized metric. You can rename it, but what's more useful is the thresholds right here. If you click on the thresholds, you will see several options for default thresholds. You could create your own, obviously. You could use images. You could utilize one of these default ones, like let's say we use this one. Based on our metric that we selected, you could change the base metric as well. When you change the base metric, it'll threshold still for revenue, but it'll base it on, say, revenue forecast. So it's cross-thresholding, which is pretty cool. You can have breaks. For example, you can break it down by category, so it doesn't lump your lowest percent across all your categories. It can just do it by category, depending on the needs. Also, you can, there's two things or three things you can do. One, you could shift your percentages here. Okay. You could also change the color. So if you hover over, you will see this little tiny box called Edit Color. Click on it. You could enter your color manually here, or just choose the color of your choice. Okay. And the final thing is you can add more. So if you see this, whenever you hover, there's this plus sign. You can click here, and now you have a fourth kind of bar that you can utilize if you need multiple custom thresholds. Okay, and then you could do it by, is it going to be by the lowest percent, highest percent, etc., depending on your need again. Alright, so let's apply this and see what it does. Okay, so notice my revenue now is utilizing the threshold that I created on the fly. So that's one thing that you can do last minute. You can remove it, add it as well. There's also the ability to drill. So if you're in books category, you can drill to subcategory. And now you're viewing your subcategory for books. And obviously you could have drilled on the header instead, and or so here you got drilled to year. Let's see, let's undo. The undo is very useful here. Let's see what happens when we click here and drill to subcategory. Now we're including all subcategories, not just the one we utilized the first time, which was books. So there's several ways you can use this. Obviously you could still pivot, so you can move right and left or move to the columns, break down. One more thing that you could do is control things from one graph to another. Let's say you want to use this as a filter to control the items you see here. So when you click on a separate region, this only returns for that one region. The way you do this, you come over, hover over this panel, drop down, and you say use as a filter. Let's control, this was called visualization 1, and you want to enable filtering on selection, and you can allow users to clear all selections. Okay, so there we go. Now when you click here, the above should change simultaneously every time you click. Also, there's this unique grouping capability in Visual Insight, which allows you to multiple select. So if you click, your left click, and you drag and hover over multiple, all of them get selected at once. So that's pretty cool, I think. You could, keep playing with different options here, but that's pretty much the idea. And let's see what else we have. You could hide your title bar, you could rename it, you could duplicate it. Duplicating is useful, especially when you're creating your visualization. You create a grid, then you duplicate, you manipulate things, and then you just display something else or some other visualization. Okay, and finally, look here. We cover all of them: thresholds, number formatting, advanced sort, etc. Okay, and there's You can sort from here or from outside. The difference is when you sort outside, it'll apply them for all the ones using that column, or here you can go specifically to a specific column and manipulate or change or add different items as well. So it gives you the choice for doing it from here and there. The advantage of that is when you go to a presentation view like this, where you don't see your editing items, you have that ability to add new items to the grid that are not visible in your edit mode. Okay, so with that, I think I'll wrap up my presentation for today. Thank you very much.